welcome to another RSR. Tonight we are predicting the final of the 2023 CONCACAF Gold Cup, Mexico versus Panama. Predicción de la final de la Copa Oro de la CONCACAF, Mexico contra Panama. But first, we need to touch on the semifinals because I didn't get to do the semifinal recap video yesterday because of the Mark Anthony K. Latif Blessing trade. So, let's touch on these semifinals. I got both wrong. 0-2 in the semifinal predictions because the semifinals went way different than I expected. United States won, Panama won, 4-5 on penalties. Estados Unidos 1, Panama 1, 4-5 en penales. Panama ganar. Panama was just the better team, legitimately. I had the U.S. winning. I was wrong about that. Panama was just the better team, by far. They made the U.S. basically chase the whole game. And then Panama were just more cool and collected on the penalties. Ferreira, after cramping up, had a horrible penalty to start off the shootout. He put the U.S. behind the 8 ball, and Panama took it from there. There you go. Jamaica, Mexico, 0-3. Jamaica 0, Mexico 3. I had Jamaica winning. I was wrong about that. Mexico dominated all night. They got an early goal, and they just built from there. They just kept dominating from there. They needed the early goal. They got the early goal, and they dominated from there. Jamaica was out of their depth, to be honest. Mexico deservedly won, which leads to the Gold Cup final being Mexico versus Panama. 0-2 on my predictions, of course. But Mexico versus Panama, what does this final have in store for us? For me, Mexico is the by and large favorite here. Yes, Panama was confident. Yes, Panama was better than the U.S., but this is a Mexico A team under a manager that these players love. These players love playing under Jimmy Lozano. No question whatsoever. These players want to play under Jimmy Lozano. They want to play under him. They want him to be the full-on manager, not just the interim manager. And I think he's earned that job. If I was the FMF, Jimmy would be the manager from now on. Because getting rid of him, whether keeping him as an assistant or just getting rid of him to get a new manager, is probably counterproductive at this point. It really is. You go get Zidane, say you do, which I think is BS. Say Mexico does get Zidane. It's BS, but let's just say they do. Does Zidane have the clout that Jimmy Lozano does? These players want a Mexican manager. These players want a manager that understands them, that they played well under for the Olympics. These players that are on this team, most of them, played well during the sub-23 Pre-Olympico and the Olympics under Jimmy Lozano, and now they're playing well during the Gold Cup. Jimmy Lozano knows how to get stuff out of these players. Yeah, Zinedine Zidane won 3 Champions Leagues with Real, but you think this is the same thing? It's going to be a lot harder than you think. Point being is, Jimmy Lozano has changed this Mexican team for the better, is what I'm trying to say. Jimmy Lozano has made this Mexican team look like the Mexican team of days of old. Like the first year of Tata and before, right? From 2019 earlier, this is more like a Juan Carlos Osorio team. This is more like a Juan Carlos Osorio team. That's what this reminds me of, personally, when it comes to Mexico. And Jimmy Lozano is the manager for Mexico. I don't know why you wouldn't hire him, why he wouldn't be the favorite after this tournament, especially if they win the cup. Now, I get why, because there was a message from the FMF president that I saw on Reddit, on the Liga MX Reddit, saying that Jimmy isn't the manager full-time for the future, but they're focusing on Saturday. But it sounded like he was a candidate. I didn't completely translate it, but it sounded like he was a candidate. Point being is, I get why you wouldn't hire him now, because this final could blow up in your face, and then that looks really bad. Point being is, Jimmy Lozano should be a decision, or not a decision, should be a big candidate to get the full-on job. But Mexico looks amazing throughout this Gold Cup. Besides the Qatar game, notwithstanding Honduras, Haiti, Jamaica, and Costa Rica, I mean, they got it done, but it was a struggle. But overall, Mexico's done their job throughout this tournament. They have done their job. They've gotten to a final that not many people expected them to get to going into the tournament. People thought it would be Jamaica. People thought United States, if United States finished on that side of the bracket. They did not think that Mexico would make this final, which they've proved a lot of people wrong. They proved me wrong. They proved a lot of people wrong. Mexico are in a very good position right now. Even without a striker, really, because Santi Jimenez has not performed to what I thought he would, and Henry Martin is a tronco. He did score the winning goal on Wednesday, yes, but you know what? He's still a tronco, at least for El Tri. So, there you go. For me, Mexico, defensively, Edson Alvarez playing center back might have been the best idea that Jimmy Lozano had. He's not really a midfielder. He more can protect the back line, but being a defender, I think, fits Edson more than being a midfielder. So that was one of the best decisions they made, and they still looked really good without him against Jamaica, which is crazy, but it's weird. But they need him for this game, I think. With that being said, let's look at Panama for a second under Thomas Christensen. Thomas Christensen has had a great year with Panama this year. Panama has played some really good football this year in CONCACAF at the turn of the year. They've been great. They were great in the Nations League. They got to the final. They had a pretty good game against Canada, even though they lost. They had a pretty good game against Canada in the Nations League semi. They should have beaten Mexico in that third-place game. They sort of got screwed, but they had the better game. I think one of those wasn't offside, if not both, but okay. Throughout the Gold Cup, they brought their A-team as well, but their A-team has shown well throughout this tournament. 2 wins, 1 draw in the group stage, 2 wins in the knockout stage. They dominated Qatar, and the USA, it was a draw, but they won on penalties, so I guess 3 wins, 2 draws. But still, Panama legitimately dominated the U.S. anyway. They made them just chase shadows. They could do the same thing to Mexico. Now, is it harder to do? Yes, because let's also remember USA came through another shootout the match before against Canada. Mexico has played 2 90-minute matches. Panama has played a 90-minute, then 120. Panama might be behind the 8 ball here, to be honest. Even before the 120-minute fact. But let's think about this. Carrasquilla, wonderful midfielder. Fajardo, great striker. They've got good players. They've got players that can play the ball forward if they have a full tank. If they just say, focus on this game, and if they need to use adrenaline, they use adrenaline, that's fine. They need to make Mexico chase shadows just like they did the United States. Can they do it? Yes. Is it going to be harder? Yes. But they do have the tactics to step up to any team they faced. And let's also remember that they should have beaten Mexico at the Nations League a month ago, and this is pretty much the same team, give or take a couple of players, with a different manager. But let's remember that Mexico almost lost to Panama. Like, Panama legitimately could have beaten them. Had the offside calls, those questionable offside calls, not been made. So, it's not as far off as you think. Yes, Jimmy Lozano is a better manager than Diego Coca. But these are the same teams that played a month ago in Vegas. Same teams. Give or take, of course, a different manager, a couple players from Mexico. This could go one of 2 ways. Mexico either dominates this game, wins the Gold Cup in resounding fashion, and Jimmy Lozano is lauded as a hero that could be a martyr depending if Mexico's dumb enough to let him go. Or Mexico gets revenged for the Nations League third place, and Panama makes them chase shadows, and Panama wins in a similar way that they did the United States match. I think we're going for the former, not the latter. I think Mexico wins this match. They're the favorite. I'd say 70% likely they win, because Mexico under Lozano will fix what is getting attacked. Panama might have some good moments during the match. They might have a good half. Here's the thing. I think Lozano will find the cause of that half being good for Panama and fix it. And then Mexico takes the onus from there, takes the forward play from there, and then wins from that. I don't think this will be as easy as you would think. This will end up being a 1-0, 2-0 win for Mexico for sure, or a penalty win or a 1-0 win for Panama, but it won't be a high-scoring game. For me, I think Mexico wins 1-0. Mexico wins 1-0 around the 70th minute, and Panama just can't find the equalizer. So, for me, Mexico wins the Gold Cup. Mexico campeón de la Copa Oro. The Lambert Jimmy is going to speed off with a Gold Cup back to Mexico. Subanse a Lambert Jimmy, right? So Mexico will win the Gold Cup in my book. I got Mexico winning over Panama in 90 minutes. It's going to be tight. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't see it happening. I see Mexico doing just enough to win. Sort of like the third place match, but less controversial, you know? So with that being said, if you like this video, like it, share, subscribe. You know what it is. Tell all your friends, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification once you subscribe, send super chats on the live streams, comment on this video, put it to the playlist, share it with friends and family, all that great stuff. I shall see you tomorrow for a live watch along and review of Chicago Fire FC versus Toronto FC. And then on Sunday for the live watch along and review of this Gold Cup final. We got a good weekend. Let's have some fun. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Ryan and I'm out. Peace.